Good to go?
No, I need to set up my mic.
Okay.
Just the mic, because I have a special one here.
Switching mics.
Test, can you hear me? Okay. Let's see. Okay. Here's our agenda for today. And we'll start with, just a second. I have this on the way. Oh, sorry. Wrong screen. Just a second. There was something on my way. Okay. All right. So, Agile, 23 years ago in mid-February in the ski resort, Utah, 17 tech leaders met to talk about improving the software development. And they came up with Agile Manifesto that was focusing specifically on how to deliver software quickly, high quality, and with like collaboration, where multiple departments are contributing to making a decision what features we're going to work on and what's going to go into our the software development lifecycle. The software development lifecycle today, we're going to talk about the secure one, where we start with the requirements and the planning and the requirements gathering, then design, development, testing, deployment, and maintenance. And if you combine Agile and SDLC, you go through multiple iterations of SDLC, where multiple sprints. In different organizations, the sprints run between 1 week to 4 weeks. Okay, the Zoom gives me different notifications. So the goal behind this Agile SDLC processes, where you constantly build, plan your sprints based on the backlog and your roadmap and your features you're working on. And the most important thing is to include security, just starting with including security requirements early on into the planning. And if you're not going to add any security tickets and testing and compliance related tickets into your Agile process, and specifically into your sprint, it might not get done. Let's see why it's not switching. Sorry. Just a little glitch. Why it's not working? Apologies. My thing is not working. Okay. Security testing. The benefits of security testing is to prevent applications from any type of unauthorized access, any type of threats, and you want to make sure we're compliant, we're following certain regulatory standards, and we are keeping our reputation of our company at highest standards. So there's different types of security testing. There is static application security testing, SAST, which is white box testing. and it's done by developers, and it's analyzing the source code, and it's done before it's executed. Then dynamic application security testing that is done from the UI, and it sort of simulate external attacks. And then there is interactive application security testing, IAST, that is a combination. It's a gray box testing that is a combination SAST and DAST, and it monitors and deployed applications in real time, and also assures the quality of third-party libraries. Then there is a software composition analysis that analyzes the components of open source libraries and packages. And as Joshua from Checkmarks mentioned earlier, I don't know, where is he? Where did he? Oh, here he is. So their software tool covers the SAST, DAST, CSA. Penetration testing, it simulates the real world attacks and looks for different vulnerabilities, and of course the security auditing that reviews and analyzes systems and processes to ensure they meet the regulatory compliances. Okay, it worked this time. Okay, Shift Left. So Larry Smith is the founder of Shift Left, and he actually came up with an idea 23 years ago, the same year when the Agile Manifesto was released. And he was thinking about how can we identify bugs early before they escape into production, because they're going to be much cheaper. And he started thinking about what can we put in the earlier stages of software development lifecycle, what kind of testing. And so his suggestions were, of course, we start with unit testing, unit and integration testing, and then you follow with the SAST, then the software composition analysis, and then you do IAST. And the ideal scenario is when you integrate those tests, those runs with your continuous integration, continuous delivery and deployment. And Shift Right, that concept, I was doing research. I couldn't find who actually came up with that concept. If somebody has an idea, let me know who's the founder of Shift Right. So Shift Right focuses on testing in production and sometimes in pre-production. And it's very important to test in production. Not everything you can test in prod. And also you utilize feature flagging and canary releases for certain small group of features, what you're going to release and test before you release it to the bigger audience. And of course, you do DAST, dynamic application testing in production, and sometimes you do in pre-prod, and chaos engineering, like Netflix, they practice chaos engineering regularly with failing intentionally different servers and see how the other one's going to pick up and scale. And of course, penetration testing. So we'll start with SAST, and here I'm comparing check marks, and I know Joshua will need a binocular because the font is very small for him to see if I'm correct. I noticed in his presentation, he was talking about here over 100 frameworks, so my information is old. He mentioned over 100 frameworks, and then he said 70 technology in languages. Anyway, the numbers are quite high. I research checkmarks specifically that they're very popular in the market. They have good reviews because they cover so many languages, and language is very important for you to decide what tool to use. And make sure it integrates with CI/CD. And what's so good about the current tools, the Sonar, and Sonar has Sonar Lint, Sonar Cube, and Sonar Cloud. They use AI to kind of remediate and see if there is a certain they use AI to identify certain vulnerabilities. And all of these tools, both Sonar and Checkmarks, they are utilizing all the OWASP top 10, PCI, DSS standards, and all the big list of standards. So Sonar focuses mostly on teams that value quality, maintainability, and technical debt reduction. And the Checkmarks, it's mostly their goal is on security testing and like assuring that you have trust to the product, and they're focusing on the compliance. So there is a slight difference in Sonar and Checkmarks. Sonar doesn't have so many features as Checkmarks does. And you can decide which one you want to go with. And DAST, dynamic application security testing, is a black box testing, and the test run, and it's you test it at the run state. The best application, I mean, the tool which is open source is OWASP ZAP, and it has so many benefits. One thing I forgot to mention about Checkmarks, and Joshua mentioned, I don't know if you guys heard that that Checkmarks offer the Cloud Bash for the members of OWASP. Right, Joshua? So I want to reiterate that it's very important. If you're a member of a WASP membership, which we have around 3,000 people, so you can have access to Checkmarks Code Bash. Sorry. Yes, Code Bash. Okay, yeah. Which is great. So you can practice it and utilize SAST, DAST, CSA at Checkmarks if you're a WASP member. And so with, again, here you can see both tools, they have important qualities, the features that help to keep your application secure. What I noticed, the Checkmarks, they also look at the business concepts and the context and help you with keeping in mind how is the application supposed to operate, and how can we identify the issues, because you need to write specific rules so it could look for those vulnerabilities. And IAST is a gray box testing, which is a hybrid with SAST and DAST. And this tool is the most expensive one. Not every company utilizes them, mostly enterprise and mid-sized companies. And the number one vendor on the market is Contrast Security. And it covers lots of languages and many frameworks, and it integrates, of course, with CI/CD. And what's so unique about Contrast Security, that they also do AI security threats identification with validating IWASP top 10 for large language models applications. So not so many tools do that, and that's how they differentiate from others. And Veracode, they don't cover that many languages. They went into IAST space recently. So Contrast Security offers more languages and frameworks. So when you look at the different tools, you have to think about how would it feel, how would it fit into your ecosystem? Does it support your language or not? The challenges, so it's very difficult to implement shift left and shift right because you'll hear so much kind of resistance from different departments and because they feel like they want to work the old way, that how they've been continue working for I don't know, multiple years. And often with the tools that you're trying to implement, they're not compatible with your ecosystem, with the languages, the frameworks, and the all other tools you utilize, because you have to keep in mind when you identify issue, when you find vulnerabilities, you need to report those, create the bugs. Does it integrate with Jira or Asana or Monday, whatever the tool you're using? Also, there's the automation challenges in security testing. Often you have a false positive, and you need to think about the rules, like what kind of rules you enter into the tools. And is the coverage you're like focusing on, is it focusing on the high risk application? Because your top priority should be the application that would like 20% of application that would give you 80% of outcome based on the risk or the usage. And also you need to maintain the compliance and regulatory standards as they change constantly, and you have to be up to date, and you have to constantly monitor and update and do internal audits. And the skill gaps and training is needed because lots of companies don't, startups specifically, they don't have security team, they don't have DevSecOps, and you don't have a budget to hire somebody, or you coach somebody within the current team, and it's challenging. So here's the solutions. If you're a tech leader in the organization, you have to think about creating a culture of quality and security first. So, which means you constantly reiterate in meetings or create presentations or talks and get everybody involved. It's not just the security team or DevOps or DevSecOps team. It's everybody, product managers, product owners, designers, developers, QA, quality engineers, DevOps platforms, security teams. It's everybody's responsibility. It's not about what your activities, what you do daily. It's about the how is it going to benefit the organization and the end users, what you're doing day-to-day basis. And think about your data. Is it secure? And is it encrypted at rest? And also, as a leader, you have to think about creating best practices for the code quality and make sure there is secure code qualities. And when you decide to introduce some tool like SAST, DAST, SCA, or IAST, make sure they're lightweight, so it doesn't take forever to run those tests because developers have no patience. And make sure they're AI powered, so it would be easier for you to like they would have more accuracy and they can adapt to any of the changes, and they support shift left. So that means you can run them early on in your software development lifecycle. like after the developers run unit and integration tests, so you can run those tests as well. And yeah, make sure they're integrated with your CI/CD tools, and you can either run it on each commit pull request and after deploy, and also make sure it's integrated either with Jira, Asana, GitHub Issues, other security reporting tools you have. And I checked like check marks how they integrate with Jira is actually when I identify issues, you click a button in Jira and it creates the issue and it has all the details, and there's a link to the repository and link to the line of code where the issue was identified, and it suggests how it should be remediated. I thought it was pretty great. And important to create reports because you need to have like historical data to compare how your application was behaving. And if you identify issues, the product managers or product owners should allocate time for the sprint to fix those issues, because often we can identify those issues, but who's going to fix it? And developers often don't want to initiate unless it's a critical one. If it's a medium or low priority, they're not going to get to it if a product manager or product owner are not going to add it to the sprint. So, and you have to think about fair assessment. When you assess your work, how long it will take you to work on your sprint. So give some buffer for some bugs or issue fixing. And also important to not rely on automation because you have to combine automation with manual penetration testing. And you can hire different companies that specifically can like a pen test your application within like a short period of time to exploit it. And especially those who are not familiar with your application, and it will give you a great results versus just the regular automation tools. And hopefully you provide for those pen testers some business logic so they know like how is it supposed to function, the application. And for small companies like startups and mid-sized companies who cannot afford to build a security team or DevSecOps team, you can just hire some experts for a short period of time to educate your developers and QA teams. And specifically when you're educating them and deciding on certain tools, it can't just the leadership decide what tools we're going to use, or like infrastructure or DevOps team should decide. Everybody should be involved. The dev team, the QA team, and the DevOps infrastructure team, platform team should be involved. Because they're going to be utilizing those tools. So they need to make a decision, and they need to have an opinion which tools are the best for our ecosystem based on other tests we're running. And important to continuously monitor the tools that you have, monitor and the results that you're getting, and look for ways to improve. And maybe you decided to utilize IAST tool, the interactive application security testing, but it's expensive and you don't get much return on investment. Maybe it does not make sense. So, and you decide to just not proceed and focus on some other type of testing. So, and you constantly have to think about which one will give you the best protection and the best results. And so I want to thank the organizers of the this event, especially OWASP LA. And if you guys can stand up, we can applaud to you, Edmund, Mark, Miriam, and yeah, Miriam, and we're missing somebody. Okay. Michelle, yeah. And thank you, Checkmarks. Thank you, Joshua. He came all the way from North Carolina. Thank you for the, yeah, and for the food. Thank you. And thank you, Hive Watch, for letting us have this nice venue. Where's anybody representative? Huh?
Indisposed.
Oh, she left? Okay.
Here, but she's not here.
Okay. So this is it for the presentation. I just want to mention that connect to me on LinkedIn. I write weekly Women in Tech newsletter where I interview different women and share their personal stories, share their kind of journey in technology. And it's very inspirational, not only for women, for men as well. Also, I write technical articles, and I do consultations, and I organize workshops, and I also sell some merch, Women in Technology. Thank you. Okay, let me stop
Do you have
sharing.
any questions?
I didn't ask any questions. Sorry.
Everybody understand SDLC? Good.
Yeah.
Sasha in the corner.
Yeah, I noticed.
Oh.
I noticed an omission in the DAST section. I didn't see Burp Suite, which.
Actually, you know what? Thank you for asking, because I wanted to. I mean, Burp Suite is the biggest one, but yeah, I wanted to put like 2 only. I didn't have much space for the third one, but I was deciding OWASP Zap or Burp Suite, and I wanted to give credit to Checkmarks because they're sponsoring. But good point. Yeah, they're easier to use than OWASP Zap. Yeah.
Yeah, I think those plugins.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, any more questions? All right, thank you.
Yes, Sasha.